You have to depersonalize it in a way that isn't about like, this didn't happen solely to you because you're you. Like, there's a reason for this. You may not know why, but there are better things ahead, and you've been given the opportunity to strike off in a new direction. So take that first step.
By the way, beating yourself up never helps. It never helps
Exactly.
in any scenario.
Ever.
So, yeah.
It is that first step. It is reframing that narrative, because you just, otherwise you'll curl up a little ball and it'll never get any better. Because
sure.
even though it wasn't personal and it didn't happen to just you, guess who's going to get you out of this mess?
As hard as that is to not get into the victim mode and have a pity party, I think this is the stage where we can also looking at it as an opportunity. It's like, maybe this isn't an obstacle for me, but this is an opportunity for me. Welcome to Drinks with the Girls. Conversations for women over 40 around connection, change, and the power of female friendship. Living well with stories to tell. I'm Karen, and this is Lisa.
We are moms and solopreneurs stepping into our own, diving into real conversations about things that matter to women in midlife.
We're here to spill the tea on everything that affects women in their 40s and beyond. Topics like loss and grief, changing relationships, launching kids, menopause, and reinventing ourselves in midlife. We are here to tackle it all.
Connect with us through a blend of our lived experiences, our friendship, the memory of our moms, plus a collection of real stories, honest conversations, and engaging interviews that will make women over 40 feel seen and remind them that they're not alone on this journey called life. Let's go.
Welcome back to another episode of Drinks with the Girls. We are so excited you're here with us. Today we're going to talk about the reinvention that happens not by choice. But before we get into it, I'm going to let you know what I'm drinking. I am drinking, it's called Monte Luna from our local Montserrat winery. It's like a little rosé type. And I'm drinking it out of my cute little snowy glasses. I don't know if you can tell. It looks like there's snow on them. My daughter-in-law gave him to me.
And
for
when
Christmas.
you like twirl it, it's all like snow globy. Very nice.
Yeah. What are you drinking?
I am expanding. And I was at Trader Jose's the other day, and this looked kind of interesting. It is a sparkling green tea with pineapple juice. It's good. I would like something a little bit more pineapple-y. And probably I should have put a shot of rum in that, but other than that, it's nice and refreshing. Melted my ice too fast, so I think it needed to be colder. But other than that, yep.
Uh-oh. So, and for you, those of you on YouTube, you can look. I'm not in the penitentiary.
I wish, I should totally Photoshop like one of those rulers behind you, and then we give you a little card to hold.
Yeah. I've been trying different rooms in the house to see which works for internet and acoustics and
feng shui.
But the aesthetics in this room are not good. Anywho, today let's talk about that reinvention that happens. And Lisa and I are both queens at reinvention, and for different reasons. But let's talk about those reinventions, not the ones that we do and we plan and we want, but the reinventions that just happen and sometimes just pull the rug out from under us.
Yep.
So yeah, there's the reinvention you choose, and then there's that one that just knocks the wind out of you. The forced reinvention. The job loss you never saw coming, the unexpected divorce, the move that uprooted your entire sense of self, and those moments that just leave you asking, what the fuck now?
Yep. And I think that, like we talk a lot about the glossy self-help version of reinvention, and we're all for that. Like, don't get me wrong, but this is the one that just smacks you upside the head and really throws you for a loop. So,
yeah, I mean, we talk about reinvention. I talk about reinvention a lot in my communities. Yeah, like it's this great thing, and we're doing it on purpose, and we are reinventing ourselves, and that's one of the beauties of midlife. But yeah, this is the other kind.
But here's the thing. Sometimes those are the most powerful kind of reinventions. Sometimes you need to get the wind knocked out of you. And I sound like a sadomasochist, but like when I think back to, I've had more than my share of those, and we'll get into it. Karen has too. Those were the most painful changes, but they brought the best stuff in my life. We're here to figure out how to get through it and get to the other side.
And I think you can't recognize the best stuff until you get through it.
Yeah.
Like you're not going through it saying, "Oh, this is amazing. This is great. I'm going to be such a great human when this is all
Yay!
over." So, why do you think those unexpected types of changes hit us so hard in midlife?
I know for me, I have to ratchet myself up to such a ridiculous level to function. Everything is like very carefully orchestrated. So, I try not to let little stuff throw me. I'm not always successful, but when the big stuff does, it is brutal. The ones I think of and the ones that I've gone through are, it's a regular Tuesday, you open up an email and all of a sudden you're being restructured, right? And poof, all that time at a company. And here's the thing, that is happening so much right now to people in midlife. And it is quite another thing to job search at 55 than it is to job search at 25. And the struggle is real for sure.
Yeah, I've had a couple different reinventions like that in my life. Obviously my divorce was one of them, but that was one that did not smack me upside the head. That was one that I was kind of orchestrating. But certainly, like the death of my mom and the death of my bonus mom and the year and a half leading up to the death of my bonus mom when she was basically incapacitated and bedridden because of a massive stroke. So it's like those types of things, like you get that call at 6:30 in the morning and your life is forever changed. And it's trying to figure out how you stay whole during that and come out whole in the end, because when you're in it, you're convinced you're going to die. You're convinced that there's no way you're going to make it out, and recognize yourself. You don't,
no,
to an extent, because you are changed.
No. I remember, Jesus, I can't remember which layoff this was. I was counting them up the other day, and I think I've had 4. And I would say out of all 4, there was only one where I was like, okay, I can see why they did it. It was still brutal, but I can see the others were totally out of left field. So this particular one was in education, and it was just brutal. I'd just gone to that district. I was only there for 2 years. Of course, I lost all my tenure, everything. It was awful. And I remember, and teaching, fun fact, it's the only job you can get fired from, and you still have to work the rest of your contract.
Stop it.
Oh, I'm deadly serious.
That's bad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. They told me in February I had to work the rest of the school year. And then when I found a job, they wouldn't release me from my contract. And I was like, okay, pick a side, because you told me you didn't want to renew my contract. So now you're telling me you want me back? Well, your position is just so hard to fill. Oh, well, guess you should have thought of that. Bye. They're like, well, you're breaking your contract. I'm like, I don't care. Well, you won't be able to work in education. Don't care. Sucks to be you. See ya. Like, you guys screwed me. I'm not interested in helping you out here. But I can remember right after it happened, just like, I thought I was going to die. Like, just, I had to like leave the classroom every once in a while to just sob. Like, it was horrible. And I remember sitting there on a Friday night telling my husband, like, I was like suicidal. I was like, I think you might have to check me in. That's how close I was, because the education world is very tight-knit, and I live in a small community, so it's not like there's 6 other big districts around that I could have gone to, and everybody talks. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like, I'm screwed. I'm not going to be able to feed my family. Like, my kids were little then. So it was terrifying.
That is similar to, like, let's say the divorce situation. Even though my divorce was not a shock for myself, I work with clients who are going through a divorce or who are considering a divorce, and some of them, it has been a shock to them, and they have had to figure out how to reinvent themselves because their husband decides, he's no longer happy and he doesn't want to stay married any longer. And let me tell you, no matter what side you're on, it's awful. It's gut-wrenching. It's painful. But to watch these women go through this metamorphosis, it's like we talked about a little bit ago. You have to go through all this shit, but when you come out on the other side, you recognize, you're like, oh, I get it. I see why this had to happen. And in this case, with my clients, they never would have left.
Yeah.
They never would have left. They would have settled. They would have kept just keeping their mouth closed, just deciding, this is just how it is, and really believing they weren't worthy of anything better. But then to go through that, to be forced to go through that, and then to come out on the other side and go, holy shit, I am worthy. And look at this beautiful life I get to create.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the good things about these forced reinventions.
Yeah.
Even though they're not easy.
And I think that that's part of it too. Like I look back and I'm like this last go around, I am in an industry that I really love right now. And do I want to be in corporate life forever? Absolutely not. But boy, it was something I wanted to do for a long time. And I don't think I would have had the guts to leave had I not been just completely sat on my ass and just had the crap smacked out of me, basically, because I didn't have a choice. I had to figure it out and figure it out quickly. But what's interesting is, so, I get laid off. I'm like, Christ, I've got to work for this district, like, for the rest of the year. Like, somebody shoot me. I mean, it's a special kind of hell, let me tell you, At any rate, so there was all that. But, I did the thing where I got my resume together and I was trying to get into this industry. So I was like, okay, I'll post it on LinkedIn. And on LinkedIn, they have these things where you can, like, upgrade. And for like for money, basically, you can do these things called in-mail, and you have like a certain amount of them that you can send to people that you aren't connected to. So I chose wisely and sent it to 5 recruiters that I knew were specializing in this. And I was like, all right, we'll see, whatever, because I don't have enough money to pay for this next month. I swear to God, within 5 minutes of hitting send, I got an email from the recruiter about the job I have now. So it's like, you cannot tell me that the universe wasn't just waiting for me to be like, okay, release, bless and release. I'm like crawling on the ground here.
The beautiful part of that is that because you are in this space of literal desperation.
Yes.
Like you're in this space and it's almost like, I have nothing to lose. I'm scared, and so you do these things that you might not normally do. Mm-hmm. You get out of your comfort zone, you send the email, you do the thing, and then look, the universe rewards you.
Yeah, for sure. And sometimes it takes a while. Like I got laid off. Oh God, I went through a really brutal period where during the .com thing where I just kept getting laid off. And I mean, it wasn't my fault. They were downsizing. And like 2 or 3 times in a year. I mean, it was brutal. So the last go around, I ended up waiting tables for a while. And it was really brutal because this was the company that I was a whistleblower for. So that was brutal because I had to get the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Blah, blah. They had like 4 lawyers working on my case. Like it was intense. And let me tell you, ride to justice and all that. But you don't know how much you lose personally when you're in a situation like that. It's like we can all sit here and say, hey, we're going to stand up for truth, justice, and the American way. But when you're in the middle of it and you're waiting tables and putting your mortgage on a credit card, it's a lot. It's a lot. And I probably should have declared bankruptcy. It probably would have been easier if I'd done that. So there's a cost to standing up for your principles in a lot of ways. And I don't think people see that side of it a lot of times. So, there's that piece too. I still would have done it. I still did the right thing. I'm still glad I did it. But sometimes it can really take a lot out of you to really dig in and get through it. But you have to. Like, what else are you going to do? The only way forward is through.
When we go through things like this in our 40s and 50s versus like our 20s, we have all this, lived experience under our belt. And we also have this evidence that we can do hard things and that we can pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and figure it the fuck out, when you don't necessarily have that so much in your 20s. So at least, when we go through these big upheavals at this stage in life, even though it still sucks, we are coming at it from an angle of, wisdom, I think.
Yeah. I think sometimes it takes a while to get there though, because that's the other problem is like when you're 25, like, what do you lose? I mean, yeah, it's devastating, but that's a hell of a lot different than 55, like supporting kids. Like, I mean, that is terrifying in terms of like how do I provide for my kids and what do I do now,
Yeah. That reminds me of an episode on Her Money by Jean Chatzky, podcast episode with, and I cannot remember her name, but she was the founder of The Real Real, which I might mess up the description, but it's basically consignment for like designer and bougie and luxe, like Chanel and Gucci and stuff like that. And it ended up being a multi-million-dollar company, but she basically pulled all the money out of her 401k to get that going. Like, and she was like, I'm pretty sure she was like 50. So, I mean, talk about freaking scary, man. Like,
yeah, it's like
some ballsy
roll the
stuff.
dice.
Yeah, exactly. Luckily it worked out.
Totally.
And by the way, she does say she does not recommend that. She says, I will never tell anybody to do that or what to do with their money.
Hey there, I'm Lisa Corachella McDowell, your midlife Pacific Northwest princess, here to guide you in the art of next leveling your life. I'm passionate about women's health and wellness in midlife, especially for moms parenting kids with unique needs like I do. I truly believe we can learn, grow, advocate, and care for the planet while taking care of ourselves and our families. And I'd love to help you do the same. And I'm beyond excited to tell you about my membership for maxed out mamas just like me, the Empowered Parent Collective. It's a space for parents to confidently advocate for their kids, build inclusive communities, educate themselves, and find balance and support along the way. To find out more about the Empowered Parent Collective, my classes, wellness offerings, parenting tips, advocacy resources, and exclusive Drinks with the Girls goodies, head to nextlevellifewithlisa.com. Let's survive and thrive in the messy middle together.
I think there's some, I mean, I've been hearing a lot of stories actually on podcasts lately of women in that situation where they're just like, like maybe I need to do a complete pivot here, right? Maybe this is not this industry or this type of thing or whatever. Like I need to not look for the same thing. I mean, that's what happened to me the last time around. I was just like, screw this. I'm not doing this anymore. Like this is not okay. And I thought about getting into this industry for a while and even made some attempts at a resume and things like that. But I wasn't, it's a whole other thing when your back is against the wall and you have to find something, right? That's a whole different story than, yeah, I think I'd like to do this someday.
Oh my gosh. It's that control piece.
Yep.
Like being totally out of control, being versus having the illusion of control. Mm-hmm. Let's say that. Mm-hmm. And I think too, when these things happen, that first stage is shock, like shock and awe.
Oh yeah.
100%. So your brain, and I relate this to when I was going through my divorce, even though it wasn't a shock to me because it was something that I was contemplating. But your brain, you're not in your right mind. Yep. Your brain, it's like you're just in survival mode, putting one foot in front of the other. So your decisions may or may not be great. Yeah. But you have to make decisions. Yeah. Like you can't stay stuck in that place forever.
I remember one of the things that got me through some of those periods were because you're just so overwhelmed. It's just like, I don't even know where to start. Like, you don't want to like lay on the couch and like eat bags of Oreos, but you kind of do in a lot of ways, So I remember I used to tell myself, okay, if I'm overwhelmed, I just need to do one thing towards this stage, just one thing. And if you can just have some forward motion, but whatever that was, send a resume off, like whatever it was, call a divorce lawyer. That is momentum. And it keeps you from just being so terrified, like you can't move. Because I think, the point about the disorientation, I think, comes down to you're losing a piece of your identity. If you're in a divorce, you're not someone's wife anymore. If you lose your job, you're not the high-powered CEO anymore. Like with my teaching thing, I'd always gotten like stellar reviews from everybody. And this principal just had it out for me for really no good reason. And that was hard. I mean, it's hard when people judge you for reasons that have nothing to do with you. And then you got to live with it afterwards. Like that sucked on so many levels.
Yeah. And I think too, this is kind of not real. It's kind of off topic a little bit, but I think that the whole idea, whether you're talking about losing your job, whether you're talking about divorce, this whole idea that somehow we failed, because sure. I think we're raised to believe that when we do these things, when we check these boxes, then that's the key to happiness. Yeah, this is what you're supposed to do. Right. And then come to find out, it's not like that. It's not linear.
not so much.
No. And so I think, giving ourselves permission to, and I know it's hard because like you said, you live in a small town, people talk, we all have this idea in our mind. Oh, it's, something's wrong with us. We failed. And with the divorce, oh my God,
Yep.
cultural conditioning tells us when you're divorced, that's a failure.
Yep.
Right? I call bullshit. To your point about, losing our identity, because I think we become so wrapped up in these roles that we play that when we lose a piece of that, it's like, well, who am I now?
Yeah.
If I'm not a wife, if I'm not, the awesome teacher, if I'm not the, amazing CEO, who am I? No, we're not able in the beginning to realize that this is an opportunity to really cut the bullshit and decide, okay, well, how do I want my next chapter to look? How do I want to reinvent myself?
Yeah. Now, let me ask you a question. So I'm thinking about what we're talking about, and I'm like, is it the same for men? Because they definitely have a lot of their identity wrapped up in their work. Is it just different for us, or is it worse? I don't know if I can get behind the worse part, right? Because I would think a marriage ending, if you're not the one that's doing it, or losing a job, is devastating for men too. Like, I don't know necessarily that women have a lock on that, but I wonder if the big issue is a midlife woman in that situation. I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to lump losing a job and a divorce, I think, for men in the same category, because men's identities are even more rooted in their role as a provider. Their role is, what they do. Like what they do is who they are. But yeah, that's a really interesting question. It's too bad we don't have any men on here. We could ask them.
Gotta get some men. Yeah, I don't know that I could justify saying it's worse for women in this particular situation.
Yeah.
I think this is
it's hard all the way around.
Yeah. Well, and going on to back to the job thing for a minute. Y'all, like, the job market is out of control right now, and not going down the political rabbit hole, but my God, if you work for the federal government, you're screwed. If you work for any company that relies heavily on imports, you're screwed. My industry, the ed tech industry, is shedding jobs like no one's business. So, we can sit here and debate whether it's a recession or not, but I do know one thing. This is not like a unique thing. Like, I go on my LinkedIn and I see people that I used to work with that were at this company that have, like, worked 2 years here, worked 2 years there. Like, people are job hopping and everybody's looking for a job. And it's scary. We recently went through a bunch of layoffs at my company, and I'll tell you what, like, I know my goal is to build up my business, but I'm pretty damn grateful that I have a job and I have insurance, given like all the other medical stuff that's going on. So there are a lot of people in this situation right now, and the economy's changing. The advent of AI, like, jobs that were like solid jobs now aren't. Like, there's a lot of uncertainty out there, and I think that it's one thing to have to retrain when you're 20 or 30. It's quite another thing, even when you're in your 40s and your 50s. I had a friend who, hoping to have on the podcast at one point, but she just recently, at 55, went back and got a master's in social work. And now she is running a center for kids with severe emotional behavioral issues. I was like, damn, girl.
Incredible.
Shout out to
amazing.
Amy.
And let's just, I know what you're saying. We get to this stage in life where kind of like, okay, I'm ready to just chill now. I'm ready to coast a little bit. But also, yeah, let's not turn our backs on the idea that we are fully capable of totally making a left turn and pivoting and doing something equally amazing to the first half of our life.
I think what I'm saying is that's completely fine if that's what you want, right? Like, I'm going to be the first one cheering you on. But like me right now, thinking about, like, this is like my third career. Like, I don't want to start. Like, I get recruiters are calling me, oh, come work for our startup. Like, Jesus Christ almighty. I'm not 20 anymore. I do not want to be doing all that. And so I think there's a difference, right? Like it's kind of like we said, the ones that you want to do, like go with those. The ones that you don't see coming, when one minute you're working for this company and the next minute you're not. One minute you know, maybe thinking you can coast along in the marriage and then somebody serves you with papers. Like that, the timeline in those situations get massively sped up. You could, I mean, I'm sure a lot of the women you work with, it wasn't like it, I mean, I'm sure some of them it came out of left field, but I bet you as they work with you, they're like, it didn't come out of left field. Like
it never comes out of left field.
You know? Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't come out of left field. And we know what you said about, you know, being comfortable or just kind of coasting in the marriage. It's like, you can't do that. You got to keep your eye on the ball. It reminds me of, so I follow this amazing woman, and I wish I could remember her last name, but her name is Heidi. I follow her on Instagram, and her account is Welcome to Heidi. She is 65, and she has gone through multiple like transitions well, I've been following her for a few years, but so just in the past few years. And she's all about, you know, presenting this idea that women over 50, over 60 are still viable,
Yep.
are still energetic, are still gorgeous, are, you know. And so in fact, she just started a podcast, and I don't like to send our listeners to other podcasts, but this one,
We'll make an exception.
I love it. And she does it with one of her besties, and it's called Talk 50 to Me. And it's all about the same thing. It's all about, I think they just interviewed Paulina Portskova. Yeah. So
Damn.
go check it out. I highly recommend it. Yeah. She's just, if you want an example and you want some empowerment on reinventing yourselves, go listen to her.
Yeah. When you're dealing with a reinvention that isn't necessarily something you've chosen, or maybe it is something that you want to do, but like I said, the timeline just got uber sped up. I think part of it is that speeding up of the timeline that makes it so difficult, right? Like this, I got to figure this out. Like, I don't know exactly what's happening from point A to point B, and I'm just mucking around in the middle here, and I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. You know, my confidence is a mess. Like, I'm trying to function, but it's one thing, I guess what I'm saying is that it's one thing to want to reinvent yourself and have that thought, and you're thinking about it, and you're journaling, you're doing whatever, and you have this like plan to do it. It's another thing when someone says, yeah, that carefully thought out plan you have, you need to do it now. And that's a whole different scary. Not to say you can't, absolutely not. I think women totally can, but it's that holy shit, like I got to figure this out quickly thing.
That reminds me of something that Heidi, who I was just referring to, she said, and it's a play on the saying that we all know that, you know, life is what happens to you when you're busy making other plans. And she said, life is what happens when you're making the plans that aren't going to actually happen to you, or something like that. So it's like, here we are making these plans for our life, and you don't know what the fuck's going to happen tomorrow. And it's literally the same thing. It's like so here we go about making these plans, and sometimes they just blow up in a puff of smoke. and the only thing we can do is keep moving forward. Yeah. I mean, we can sit on the couch and watch Netflix and eat Oreos for a minute. Like, we are allowed to be
absolutely
upset.
More than a minute.
But for a minute. And then you have to realize, okay, I can't stay here. I need to move.
Yep.
And that's where that momentum that you were talking about earlier comes in. Even if it's just one thing.
Yeah, just one thing. Just a little bit because I remember at my worst points, I was like, I mean, I was 35 and waiting tables and paying my mortgage with my credit cards. Like it sucked, and I was not happy, but I did it one little thing at a time. And it was just a day, life gets, and you just have to keep putting one foot forward. Because what's the choice, right?
Yeah.
Giving up?
Yeah.
There's only so many Oreos you can eat on the couch, I hate Oreos, by the way. We need to figure out a different cookie. Pepperidge Farm.
They're not my favorite either.
Gross.
The lemon ones, though. Have you ever had the lemon?
No.
Because I'm a lemon fiend.
But is it the chocolate wafers, though? See, they're so dry.
No. No, they're white and with lemon filling or yeah. Oh
Oh,
yeah.
now that I
Yeah.
can get behind. Yeah.
Double
Ooh,
thumbs up. Mhm.
okay, that's a problem. All right. Good to know. So, God help me, I'll be on the couch with the lemon vanilla Oreos now that we've cleared that up.
My name is Karen Shatafian, and I am a shameless coffee addict and empowerment coach for women, and my love language is authenticity. My mission is helping women unapologetically design a life they're in love with. Because what the hell are we waiting for? My website, KarenShatafian.com, has all my coaching packages and free offers, like my Midlife Reclamation Guide. In it, you'll find tools to help you decide how to create the most inspired and empowered version of yourself and your life. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram talking about ways women can show up for themselves after decades of showing up for everyone else. Join me as we throw off the shackles and live our best freaking lives. See the show notes for all the details. Cheers. I want to say something too. So, I'm thinking about this and I'm thinking about, what we were talking about, kind of reframing this whole idea of being a failure or failing in some way. Like when shit like this happens to us, we're not special.
Yeah.
It's happening to women all over the place.
It
Women
feels
are
very personal, though.
It does. It feels very personal, but I say this to make people feel better, not worse. Maybe it came out wrong, but women are getting divorced all the time. And more frequently now in their 40s and 50s.
Yep.
The whole gray divorce thing, it's a wave. And same with careers.
Yep.
Like women unfortunately are getting fired. They are being let go. They are having to pivot in their 40s and 50s, and that sucks. But it's like it's happening. It's not just happening to us.
Yep. Yeah. And like I said, especially now, So, yeah. And I mean, I think, honestly, if you've somehow made it to your 50s or your 40s without getting divorced or losing a job or having something happen to you, like, I don't know what kind of like deal you've made with the devil, but I just find it hard to believe that person exists, to be completely honest.
Yeah, that's what I say a lot when I'm creating content. It's like nobody gets to their 40s and 50s unscathed. Like
Totally.
You've lost somebody,
Something.
you've had a career transition. You've had to, your partner gets, their job changes and you have to move across the country. Like my sister, her son had a traumatic brain injury. Her life changed overnight. Used to live in Southern California. Now she lives in North Carolina, so she can help take care of him. And he's doing great, by the way.
Oh, that's so good to hear.
Yeah, but it's just like, you don't know what's going to happen or how things are going to change and get turned over. So yeah, I would love to meet a woman who's at least 45 or older who hasn't had, something wild happen in her life.
I mean, Jesus, even Brooke Shields, right? Call us Brooke.
So, okay, let's talk about what happens. So this big thing has happened to us. We've laid on the couch, watched Netflix, eaten our lemon Oreos. We've gone through the messy middle where we kind of realize, okay, this is like a construction zone. There's going to have to be some rebuilding happening, but it's still murky and we still don't know what the hell is going to happen. Then what? What happens? What do we do to start to rebuild after a major shakeup like this? What's the first step, you think?
And I mean, I think you hit it on the head just in terms of starting at the point where it's like, as personal as it feels, you have to look around you and realize you're one of a lot of people that are going through this. And it's interesting because one of the things, I mean, this is a bit of a tangent, but hey, we love our tangents. I've never felt like I've done a good job with finances. Like, I don't have a huge savings built up. I don't have like a nest egg that I want. I'm not in the financial situation I want to be in. And I've always had a lot of guilt and shame about that. And frankly, my parents didn't help with the matter. So I read this article, and I'll put it in the show notes, and it blew my freaking mind because basically what it's saying is the baby boomers had the literal like perfect economic storm, right? Mortgages were cheap. Wages were relatively good. The stock market was good. Some people still had pensions. Like there were all these things that were involved that made it easier for them to accumulate wealth and to have that financial security. And then they compared it to our generation. And it's like, let's review. We had the Great Recession. We had the pandemic. Like major stuff that happened, all coinciding with inflation, with the housing market just losing its ever-loving mind, all these things that have made it difficult to get ahead. And so one of the things I've been working on is to try to change that narrative in my head of, instead of like, you suck, to you survived. And it's ugly, but you did what you had to do to survive, and you didn't declare bankruptcy, and you got through it, and you have a plan and all this, and damn, like, pat yourself on the back, because this could have gone another way. And I've really been trying to change the narrative on that. So I feel like that's kind of the first step, I guess, is the point I'm making, is you have to depersonalize it in a way that isn't about like, this didn't happen solely to you because you're you. Like, there's a reason for this. You may not know why, but there are better things ahead, and you've been given the opportunity to strike off in a new direction. So take that first step.
Yeah, I like that idea of changing the narrative. And because, by the way, beating yourself up never helps. It never helps in any scenario.
Ever.
So, yeah, we have to give ourselves a freaking break. And at least now you with your finances, you're figuring it out. You know, it's better late than never. At least it's not too late to kind of get it together.
And again, in my defense, in addition to all this other stuff, 4 layoffs. My husband is disabled and cannot work anymore. I was in a federal civil lawsuit where I was waiting tables, you know? And so
girl,
it's
you are scrappy.
Right? And so when I turn the narrative around and just like, well, hold on. Yep. Because, I mean, look at all the things societally that's generation is that, but look at all the stuff that specifically happened to you in this particular case. And,
for sure.
And you're powering your way through it. So that's kind of how I'm choosing to handle that piece. But I think the long drawn out point that I'm trying to make is, it is that first step. It is reframing that narrative, because otherwise you'll curl up a little ball and it'll never get any better. Because even though it wasn't personal and it didn't happen to just you, guess who's going to get you out of this mess?
Yeah. Yeah.
No one's coming to rescue you.
No, that's for sure. You gotta do it yourself. I think too, this messy middle part and trying to climb our way out of it, that's when we can really start looking at it as, you know, what is happening for me rather than what is happening to me. As hard as that is to not get into the victim mode and have a pity party, I think this is the stage where we can, you know, like you said, change the narrative. I'm doing the best that I can, and I'm actually doing pretty well given the things that I've overcome. But then also looking at it as an opportunity. It's like, maybe this isn't an obstacle for me, but this is an opportunity for me. I'm still young, whether you're in your 40s, your 50s, or your 60s. You know, you still have 20 or 30 years in front of you, depending on genetics and all that. But let's just say we have 30 years ahead of us. How do I want it to look? And what can I do to kind of move in that direction? So it kind of turns into something kind of exciting eventually.
And again, it's that forward momentum, right? Like, I think it feels like you're just starting all over again, but you aren't. You have a little bit more wisdom. You, I'm sure, have thought about this thing that's happened to you and the things that you've learned from it, because you have to have learned from it. Like, there's something you can learn from everything, even if it's horrific, right? It may not be something you want to learn, but you're going to learn from it. I mean, and I don't want to make light of it, because I know that, you know, there are people out there that have lost children, you know, husbands. Like, you know, we both lost our moms, and y'all know how difficult that is for both of us even today. So I'm trying to like walk this fine line by not like dismissing what people are going through, but at the same time saying it doesn't have to be period, the end, the cliff, like, and you're just done after that. Feel the feels. Feel what you're feeling. You have a right to feel that way, but just don't let it absolutely define you and keep you from moving forward. That's, I think, the difference that I'm trying to get at. Yeah.
And I think the grief piece, when you lose somebody you love, like it's almost like we have to put that in a separate little category.
Yep.
Because that's just, you can't. I mean, the only thing that's going to make that easier is time, in my opinion. And of course, your own personal work and therapy. And that is different. And even though like my divorce was right up there with the death of my mom, like in terms of pain and in terms of what I went through. And that seems crazy, I'm sure, to hear. I think when we're talking about losing people, that's a different those are different things we have to go through, because you don't really have that piece of, oh, this gets to be an adventure. This gets to be kind of fun. Like, what are the opportunities ahead for me?
You're drowning in it.
Drowning. And although you do change, like you do become a better version of yourself, because you have to go through this shit, and you just, even though you don't want to fucking get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
So that still has its, positives, but oof, when you're in it, no.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the similarity piece is you have to feel what you're feeling. You have to go through it. You can't go around it. You have to go through it, right? And you can't stay there. You have to have some type of forward momentum, right? So I am absolutely not going to sit here and say, oh yeah, you'll find there's a good reason that your mom passed away. Like, the fuck? Like, no. But I think that's where the similarities are, just in terms of what you go through, the person that you become, how you choose to keep moving forward. Those are the similarities that I see.
And grief is grief. Like, loss is loss. So even though whether we've lost or somebody that we love, or we've lost our job, we've lost our marriage, we've lost a part of ourselves, you still have to grieve that.
Yeah.
And that's where the feelings come in. Like, you can't, like you said, you have to go through it. You can't push it down and pretend it's not there. You just got to go through it. And it sucks. I think too, this is the place where your mindset starts shifting, because you realize, maybe, again, we're not talking about the grief over losing people we love, but talking about these big transitions, right? You start to realize, well, what are the areas that I was settling? Or what was I tolerating that I really don't want to tolerate anymore? What would feel good to me now moving forward? What do I actually want? Because unless we are confronted with these things, we never give ourselves the luxury of stepping out and going, what do I want? I'm in this job that sucks the life out of me, but what do I want? No, because you're paying your bills, and it's too scary to think of, oh my God, I'm not going to change the trajectory right now. I have a good job. I should just be grateful. Insert marriage in that scenario I just said. So I think, it gives you the opportunity to really, really get fucking honest with yourself and decide, what am I done with?
Yeah.
Right? And then decide, what's one thing I can choose for myself moving forward.
Okay, quick pause. Have we talked about the Pod Squad lately?
Oh, the Pod Squad. You mean our email list /VIP lounge /digital wine club?
Exactly. So listeners, if you're not on it yet, you're basically making life harder for yourself when it comes to podcasts.
Like trying to scroll for show notes while speed walking on a treadmill. Wait, what was that link again? Oh, no. Grab the side rails.
Or pulling up that book we mentioned while you're in the Starbucks line and then realizing everybody else moved up 3 cars and now you're that woman.
We've all been there. That's why we made the Pod Squad. You'll get new episode alerts every week with direct links. Easy to listen, easy to share.
And show notes straight to your inbox. So when we drop a life-changing product, book, hot tip, or yummy new drink, you're not rummaging through your memory like a woman searching for her reading glasses when they're on top of her head.
It's organized, it's helpful, it's for you, babes.
So join the Pod Squad. The link is in the show notes. Just tap it.
Snacks, sarcasm, solidarity.
And obviously, fighting the patriarchy.
We write at dawn.
I'm reminded of the recent episode we did with Shannon and Karen and Megan, who will be back, by the way, on moving overseas. And I mean, almost, I would say every single one of them had some form of, what the hell am I doing? Why am I doing this? Right? And they had to get to that point on the heroine's journey to be able to move forward and do things. So I think that if you're not reevaluating your life as you go, life will reevaluate you. That is just the way.
That's a good way to say it.
It goes. You know what I mean?
Did you make that up?
I did.
Is that your sentence?
It is, and it's off the top of my head, which is especially mind-blowing considering it's 6:00 at night here, and I've been working all day. Thank you.
I think that's so telling. No, that's so good. Because it's true. Like, and it's like we were talking about earlier, we make these plans and we check the boxes and we think we know how our life's going to go.
Whew, okay. And then
right?
Not so much.
Spoiler alert. It does not go that way a lot of the time. And then you just have to figure out, okay, how am I going to pivot? How am I going to move through this and come out making this feel better for me?
Yeah. And I think that, I mean, there's definitely unexpected gifts all around, right? And I mean, I'm not going to say it was a gift that my mom died, but there were gifts that came out of it, you know? But I think that I wouldn't, in my opinion at least, I would not start thinking of like, oh, I'm glad this happened. Oh, this was a good thing. Oh, I'm going to get this out of it. Oh, I'm going to, because it's pretty raw at that point. Like, there's going to be a time for that, right? And I'm not saying be pessimistic about it, but in my opinion, I feel like focusing on that right away, that's a tall order, man. Like you said, you have to go through that grief process. You have to like just walk through it. I think the gift finding is a stage, but it's later down the line. And I feel like it's more of a primal, like what feels good and what doesn't feel good. Like, oh, I don't really want to work for that type of a boss again. Or, oh, I picked this kind of a partner. Not going to do that again. And so I think that that's more of the kind of Rorschach blot test where you're like, yes, no, maybe, I think that it is, I don't know, maybe I'm not making sense.
No, you are making sense. And I think the gift finding stage is right there at the end of, what was her first name? Kubler-Ross's, stages of grief. Yeah. The last one, acceptance. That when you get to that place of acceptance, that's when you see the gifts.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you're never going to say, oh, I'm so glad my mom died because, wow, look at what a strong person I am. No, fuck that. I'd rather have my mom be here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that's just what happens. We see how we've changed and we've grown. And I think always when big things like that go down in our lives, we are always like, how am I going to get through this? How am I, even when, and I know I've talked a little bit about this before, but I've had two of my dear, dear friends they both lost their sons last year in different ways, but their sons are my son's age and they're in their late 20s. And even though that didn't happen to me, like I wasn't feeling the immense, like unfathomable pain that they were feeling, I was still feeling pain for them because I've known these men since they were 3 years old. And I even felt, how am I ever going to feel joy again? Yeah. How am I going to move through my life and remember what it is like to be happy? Because, things happen in life and it knocks you, like it knocks the wind out of you.
Yeah, it does.
But we always get back up. We always figure out a way through. And I don't know. I think that's just important for us to remember because we're still very young. We still have a lot of years ahead of us, and there's still some shit that the universe is going to throw at us.
And I think the other thing I would say, really, honestly, is to encourage people not to roll over when this is happening, right? You still have choices, and you have a lot of things that you can negotiate, right? I mean, Karen, I know you've talked about your divorce and the kinds of things you're like, yeah, no, I'm not just going to roll over on that kind of stuff. With a job, I am going to give you my number one best piece of advice. And as someone that has lost her job 4 times, I feel that I'm qualified to speak on this. Do not ever, 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 under any circumstances, no way in hell, sign anything that someone puts in front of you when they were laying you off. Period. End of story. Because the only person that wins in that situation is them. You do not have to sign anything. And they're going to try to come at you and be like, well, if you don't, I don't know what it's like later. But the thing is that locks you into whatever they want to lock you in. I mean, I remember one job when they laid me off, like they walked me out of there and I was taking my computer because it was my personal computer and they wouldn't let me take it. And I put up a little bit of a fight, but I should have put up more of a fight because what they did, of course, is scrubbed it and try to find like evidence against me, right? So, I think they thought I was just going to roll over, and no, I filed a grievance with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. So make sure that you don't do that in the heat of the moment because you are not in a good place when that happens, right? You can always negotiate stuff. And I'll let Karen speak about the divorce piece, but I'm going to bet she agrees with me on that.
Like I said before, when you're going through these big reinventions, whether they're forced or chosen, you're not thinking clearly.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not in your right mind. And so as weird as it sounds to say, you need to like plan ahead of time. And it's easier when, you're talking about a job or your financial situation, because of course, nobody thinks they're going to get divorced. Nobody thinks they're going to go down that road. So the thought of thinking about it is like, well, why would I? Because I'm never going to get divorced. Well,
Yep.
I mean, and it's true, you may or may not, but thinking about it beforehand certainly would be helpful. And especially with like financial, whether it's a job situation or a divorce situation, have an emergency fund. Like this is something, if you listen to any financial expert, they will tell you to have an emergency fund, have 3 months worth of your expenses. So then you just have it. And if you have it in a high yield savings account, that is the best of the best, because you're earning 3%, 3.5% versus 0.001%.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't take anything else from this episode, I don't care if you're happily married, I don't care if you're retired, I don't care if you are in the job of your dreams, I hope you have an emergency fund. And if you don't, no shame, because like we talked about earlier, our parents didn't teach us this, but have an emergency fund, because that will give you a cushion when shit goes sideways.
Yep.
And hopefully shit won't go sideways, but we've all been around long enough to know that
take a breath at least.
It does. Yes, you could take a breath for sure. Something else that's super important is getting support. Like lean on your people, and the people that you trust, obviously, because when you're going through a divorce, you're losing your job, you're relocating, you're, all of a sudden pushed into the caregiver role for your parents, something happens to somebody that you love, whatever it is, get support. Talk to the people that you can lean on, because you cannot do it alone. You cannot keep it all inside, bottled up. You have to let somebody help you when you're going through a major transition in life.
Yeah. And I mean, again, this coming from the hardest woman Karen has ever had to teach to journal. Writing, I wrote a lot during these times, and it wasn't even like journal entries. It was like, T-charts, like pros, cons, like things I wanted to remember, things that were happening in the process of me separating from these companies that I needed to get clear on, make notes, like write stuff down for a lot of reasons. First of all, again, you're a mess. And second of all, you're not going to remember all this, right? So do that. It helps you kind of get some traction in kind of this pea soup that you're going in. So, I mean, I'm talking about, yes.
The word you're looking for is clarity.
Yes, that, right? But I mean, yes, do it for the emotional support. Do it but also do it for just the organization, the planning, all of it. It helps you just feel like you have some kind of a path that you're going on. And I just remember doing a lot of that kind of stuff.
And one of the other amazing things about journaling, I'm an avid journaler, and I'm so proud of you that you brought that up, by the way. But you get to go back, whether it's a year from the event, it's 3 years from the event, 5 years, you get to go back and you really get to see where you were then, where you are now, how fucking strong you are, how amazing you are, and that you can do hard things. So, listeners, if you are in a place right now where you are in one of these forced reinventions, we want you to know that we see you and we're definitely here for you. And one of the things that I want you to walk away from this episode with is that you are stronger than you know. And that strong version of you is in there. You just can't see her right now because you're underneath a lot of grief and overwhelm and sadness and anger and fear. But she's in there. And if you want to lay on the couch and watch Netflix and eat the lemon Oreos, do it for a sec. And then get up and decide how you're going to move forward.
I would say the other thing is, you're allowed to feel the way you feel, right? I think what we're saying is just don't get stuck in it, right? Feel the feelings, but keep walking through them. Don't just spin.
And whatever's happening in your life, it's not a failure. I don't care if you're getting a divorce. I don't care if you got fired. I don't care any of that. You're not, it's life.
Yeah.
And I think what Lisa said, halfway through the episode of reframing that and changing that narrative, because this is what life's about. It's about what is life going to throw at us and how are we going to handle it and how are we going to move forward? And so don't look at it as a failure. Look at it as just an opportunity to see what's next.
Yeah. And I mean, certainly not minimizing like the financial piece, like all of that stuff is real. And we're not trying to minimize it and say, oh, just walk on sachet down the Yellow Brick Road and everything's going to be fine. Like, I get it. Like, there's stuff, right? But you'll figure it out. I promise you'll figure it out.
You will figure it out. I want a shirt with that on it. You will figure it out.
The one I love and a friend of mine used to say is everything is figure-outable.
Marie Forleo had a book on that. Yeah. Except I want the F word in there. You will figure it the fuck out.
Yep. Pretty much.
All right, listeners. Thank you so much. As usual, we appreciate you being here with us, spending time, and share with a girlfriend. Give us that 5-star review. We are still going strong. We are growing this community.
I'm sure y'all have a girlfriend out there that is getting a divorce or is lost a job. Like, just pretty much the odds at this point.
Even going through the empty nest, which we didn't even really talk about, but your kids are gone. Maybe you're relocating, whatever it is, whatever transition you're going through. Sorry, I just cut you off, Lisa. Go ahead.
It's fine. No, I was just going to say, join the Pod Squad, because then you just hit forward and it's on its way. And again, we're harping on this, but we have some really cool stuff cooking for Drinks with the Girls 2.0. And it really, one of the essential parts to that is growing our email list. So please do it. Thank you for joining us this evening.
I just want to say, can you please, listeners, reach out?
Please,
send us a DM just for funsies. Get in our Instagram DMs, reply to the Pod Squad email, get on our Facebook page, whatever. Just send us a little message. Let us know what you want to hear, what you like that we talk about, what you really don't want to hear about anymore. We're here for all of it. And because we do this for you, it's Drinks with the Girls. And although Lisa and I really love getting together every week and talking about life, we want to hear from you too, because this is for you and for us.
Yeah. And I always love when I hear from you guys just about a particular episode that resonated or something that didn't, because I've heard both. So keep it coming.
Thank you for being here. We love you. And we'll say cheers.
Cheers.